I got one of my favorites, man. One of the up and coming superstars of this game, man. This guy does college. He does pro basketball. He does Indians baseball. He's on the Browns. He's everywhere. John Fanta, thank you for coming on and spending some time with me and talking a little bit, man.
Garrett Bush, it is always good to be talking sports with you. And I love talking with you, man. You're a star yourself, and I appreciate you. I appreciate those kind words. Awesome time of year, man. We're right in the heart of hoop season. I know you and I love our hoops.
Yeah, definitely, man. So definitely you going on right after this to do a game. Who do you got today? You're a big contributor, one of the guys that do the play-by-play, also with Fox Sports. Let everybody know what game you're doing today.
Yeah, number 24, UConn and Seton Hall tonight, 8:30 Eastern time over on CBS Sports Network. This will be at Gamble Pavilion. I'm looking forward to it. The Huskies are tough. Obviously, people know UConn is one of the big brands in college basketball. They have a kid. He wears number 21. So if you don't see UConn tonight, if you see them in March, his name is Adama Sanogo. He is a big-time big man. So I would urge anybody who likes to watch basketball prospects, take a look at this kid because he's just a sophomore. He's from the country Mali. That's where he grew up. His whole family's back there. He is a high-level player. There's some Emeka Okafor to him.
Played a lot of years. Emeka Okafor carved out a nice little career for himself, man. Yes, he did. Speaking of a little bit, let's get to a guy that you saw a little bit last year. You being a person that does cover college basketball, you get a preview of some of these names that we came out and guys that you see. And a lot of people, including myself, did not know how dynamic a guy like Evan Mobley was until we saw him in Summer League and we realized that, man, this guy's a game changer. What is it that you saw back there at USC? And do you think that he's even better than advertised for what you saw in upside coming out this year?
Woo. Unlimited motor, a will to win, and a desire to make plays for others. Evan Mobley is the Cavs' crown jewel, and to be able to get him in the draft was such a great move by Koby Altman and company. And it really stems back to, for me, my opinion of him, stems back to a conversation I had with Mike Gansey, who works in the Cavaliers front office. I talked with him at Summer League, Garrett, out in Vegas last August. And he just said to me, man, like this kid has every single shiny object in the toy store. It's like walking into a toy store and looking around with Mobley because he's got it. You asked for it, he's got it. I know we talk about his jumper and that continuing to evolve and if his perimeter game can continue to evolve. But man, Garrett, how many guys do you talk about and you say, yeah, his shooting stroke needs work, but we'll bet on that because he's got everything else going on. He's got everything else going on defensively. He's terrific. He might be all defense now as a rebounder. Well, when you defend, guess what happens? You're going to rebound the basketball. He does that too. He had 22 and 10 against Atlanta. I love this kid, and he's still young. Like, what a total steal by this front office. I am super impressed with him in every way. And I think more than anything, it's that they are exploring. Like, he has 4 assists against the Hawks. That's illustrative of what they'd like big picture. They'd like that to be 7 or 8 assists, if not more. Like, they want this to be high count. They want him to be able to distribute the basketball. I love him off the high elbow, able to create for shooters. Evan Mobley's the centerpiece of this Cavs rebuild, renovation, whatever you want to call it. Their rebirth is because they drafted Evan Mobley.
Let's keep it right moving. There's another guy who, we saw what Darius Garland has done this year, but I've been so impressed by the way he's come along. At first, he looked smallish and, he wasn't shooting the ball that well. He had a couple, he used to be turnover heavy with his first year or so. But coming out of Vanderbilt, when they drafted him, I said, "Who is this guy?" I don't play like 5 games or something like that because of a knee. But, now he's a guy, when you watch him against the Atlanta Hawks the other night, can shoot the teardrop, can move, he's shooting the 3-point shot much better, hitting jumpers off the move, and he has a great vision with Evan Mobley and especially Jarrett Allen on the high handoffs and the alley-oops. How have you seen Darius Garland really, establish himself as well?
Starts with attitude. He's developed into a really nice presence in that locker room. Nonstop work ethic. And this is another conversation I had with some Cavs front office brass last summer was, hey, the work that you see, you know how teams post those social media pictures of guys working, and you say to yourself, like, oh, that's all cool and stuff. We've all seen it. We see it all the time with the Browns.
Right, we working.
We working. Right. Are we winning though? We working, but are we winning? Exactly. You're right. So I know you're with me on that, but like, man, that work ethic that they post about Garland, it's no joke.
It paid off. I mean, you can see him. He's added something to his game. I completely agree with that.
He's only 22. He's 22 years of age. And this is an example of, you got to give the Cavs scouting department credit, because they only had 5 games at Vanderbilt to go off of. And they find this kid, and I think they saw, hey, there's rawness here. He's raw. Can he defend? Well, wait a minute. Let's bet. What's the NBA, man? The NBA is, you got to be elite shot making. You have to be an elite shot making team. Darius Garland's become an elite shot maker.
I totally agree. When you watch what the league is, and especially come playoff time, it is about, can you hit shots in a half court scene, and guys are physical. You're not getting those whistles anymore. The refs swallow their whistle. If you're not one of the superstars, they're not giving you that call. So you got to have dynamic guard playing guys that can definitely shoot the basketball. And it's much like NCAA. You know what it is. Turning time comes, guard play. How many guards you got?
Guard play. That's what it comes down to. It's a guards game. The Cavaliers have guards. I think the most curious thing with the Cavs is that, look, the first part of the rebirth comes with Sexton there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now it's like they've switched into a whole different gear. And I'm not saying that it's because Colin Sexton's not playing. I just think it leaves the Cavs with a very interesting predicament.
Yeah, where do they go from there? Is he a guy that is part of their new mix? Karis LeVert is a guy that they've moved into the 2 role. He's a little bit longer, a little bit bigger, but kind of like the same player, can get his own shot. And before we let you go, and I thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time before you step onto your other duties. Colin Sexton, do you believe that, he has a chance to come back? And if he does, what would that mean to the Cavs playoff run?
Yeah, I think he certainly has a chance. What would it mean to the playoff run? What would it mean to the Cavs' big picture? Like, my issue with Colin is, and this is just the one thing I have, is at times when he's on the floor, I feel like there's a bit of a ball stopping thing there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ball's got to move. You got to be active offensively. If you're easy to read from a defensive standpoint, you're not going to win. Not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, the defense is so different than the regular season. That's why it's a little hard sometimes in the regular season to make convicted judgments on NBA teams. We know that this Cavaliers team, though, they play hard. And defensively, that's why they've won a lot of games, because they play a lot harder than other teams in the NBA.
Right.
But for Colin, like, I've always said this, I think he's like the 3rd or 4th best player on a good team.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he brings one elite thing to be you got to have 2. If you want to be the best player, you got to have 2 to 3 other different tools in your tool belt, whether that's a defensive stopper. That's why we go gush all over Evan Mobley. Some people will look and say, hey, Colin was averaging almost 25, but Mobley, why do you guys love him? Well, Mobley changes the game on offense and defense.
Yeah. Mobley averages whatever. He doesn't give it back, though. Yeah. If Mobley scores 18 or 20, guess what else he's doing? He's only allowing 6.
There it is. There it is. And minimizing the shortcomings of guys on the perimeter and covering for people and erasing shots that they are getting blown by. So it's just one of those things, man. And I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to talking to you coming down the backstretch. John, tell everybody where you're at, where they can find you, and how they can check out your work.
At John_Fanta, JOHN_Fanta with an F. Great time of year, man. I love talking hoops with you. March Madness is around the corner. We talked a couple times during that. I'm sure we will here again. And I'll tell you what, I'll say this loud and clear. In Cleveland sports, like, baseball ain't happening anytime soon.
We got it. We're gonna get you in to talk about that too. We haven't heard a peep. We haven't heard a peep about baseball. What's going on?
What a joke. And baseball already has hurt itself. Like, we talk about it on your show, and you're not getting a lot of baseball calls.
Nah, nobody's beating my ears up about that. Hey, G. Bush talk baseball. No, they're not.
Right. So my thing is, like, hey, Cavaliers, thank you. Thank you for giving us something to talk about right now. Like,
because we be dead. We be dead in the water. Speaking of, dead in the water between them, between the India or the Guardians. Sorry, the Guardians and the Browns. We be dead in the water. But thank you for the Cavs for showing us the love. John, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good call tonight, and we'll check base with you soon.
Thanks, G. Bush. Appreciate you.